Okay, so to pick up exactly where we left off with the last slides, again, poetry and form are important, and stanza is what we're going to go to next. A stanza is a group of lines of a poem. They're like sentences in a paragraph. You have all different kinds of stanzas. You have couplet, which is a two-line stanza. Tercet's a three-line stanza. Quatrain's a four-line stanza. Cinquain's a five-line stanza. Sestet is a six-line stanza. A heptastich, right? Funny name, is a seven-line stanza, and an octave is an eight-line stanza. Again, make sure that you get all that down. I'll pause a moment for you. Okay, rhythm. Rhythm is also important. I mean, like the beats in a poem, the sounds. So rhythm can be created by these three things, and usually I'll have these as pop-up answers, and you have to fill them all in. Rhythm can be created by meter, by rhyme, like rhyme, time, crime, by alliteration, Sally sold seashells by the seashore, or a refrain. A refrain is like a hook, like Britney Spears, like "Oops, I did it again," or like a saying that you hear over and over again in the song. It's the chorus, the hook, the refrain. Alliteration. Alliteration. Remember, there's a bunch of different types of sound literary devices. All alliteration, all the letters are the same at the beginning of each word, and they're consonants. Remember, a consonant's anything that's not a vowel, anything that's not A, E, I, O, U, or sometimes W. Um, so alliterations when several words, meaning three or more, uh, have the same consonant at the beginning of each word. So the beginning letters are the same, like Sally sold seashells by the seashore, Peter Pepper picked the pickled peppers. Um, the S in Sally sold seashells is the alliterative letter, or the P in Peter Piper picked the pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? That P is alliteration. Usually, again, you have to have at least three repeated consonant letters there at the beginning. Alliteration is different from consonants, which are consonant sounds. So remember, it's just the consonant letter at the beginning being the same. Carrying cats cascade off, lapping llamas lounging. That is alliteration. You have several words with that first letter being the same. Again, sometimes examples help. So rain races ripping like wind. So you have alliteration, then you jump into a simile. And a lot of times you'll have several literary devices together. So again, there's a couple more examples there. Consonants. Consonants is different. It's the blended sounds usually. The repetition of the blended sounds that are consonants. Consonant sounds being repeated. So it could be at the beginning of a word, the end, or both. Usually it's in the middle or the end though. So like babble, bubble, pebble. It's that bull sound that's being repeated. Or lost and past, or confess and dismiss. It's that snaky sound. So that is consonants. Remember to write down examples so you know the difference between consonants and alliteration. Assonance is when there's a little corn waving at you there. Assonance is when a vowel sound is repeated over and over again. So like Moses supposes his toes are roses. Again, it has to be the same type of vowel sound. It's not just being a vowel being repeated. So it's not just because you have O over and over again, or E or I. It has to be either a long or short vowel sound that's repeated. A long vowel sounds like it looks. So Moses supposes his toes are roses. That's a long O. It sounds like O. It looks like O. A short O would be like in the word of there on top. Of. It's not ov, it's of. Or vowel. It's not vowel. So you have to make sure you're looking for those repeated vowel sounds. I sipped the rim with a palatable lip. Sip, lip. Those are the same sounds. Okay. Try to light the fire. Again, assonance. You have that long I sound. It sounds like what it looks like. And it's funny because that's not even an I. So it's I sound. Nod, officer, pocket. Again, those nod, officer, doesn't sound the same. Paid and plays a lot. Again, depends on how you say it. You can kind of say it's assonance. More examples: slow, low, gradual, moan. It's that O sound. So look at some more of those so you can, or maybe write some down. so you can get what's going on. Repetition is repeating words or phrase. If they say the same thing over and over again in a song, we've all heard songs where they repeat the same thing over and over again for emphasis. It's usually visually pointing to it. So in our hearts, we have something special. In our hearts, somebody lives there. It's that in our hearts being repeated over and over again. Repetition sometimes has a purpose to it. Inside the ocean, I see a fish. Inside the waves, I hear a splash. Inside the water, I felt the fish. So it's inside the, whatever is being repeated. That's repetition. Imagery poems. An imagery poem is a poem that uses the five senses. You touch on your images, and you create a picture of something. So if you're writing a poem about a carnival, you would talk about the smell of popcorn, the sounds of people screaming, or playing games, things like that. So imagery appeals to, taste, touch, smell. Into the crystal pool I gazed to see the fleeting glimpse of a white-tailed deer. Look at all the imagery that you have there. So pure to be free. Beneath the sapphire sky with clouds. Sapphire, like it's not just like not a red sky or a blue. It's sapphire, like the best color of blue you can come up with. There's a tiny fawn, meaning a tiny deer, beside and cowering, while towering pines, meaning huge trees, trembled and swayed. It's great personification there. So that's what an imagery poem would look like. It appeals to your senses. Soft upon my eyelashes, turning cheeks to pink. Again, I can picture that. So that's what imagery does. An extended metaphor is a metaphor that goes on for more than one line, meaning it's a comparison of two things that continues and continues. So if you said, life is a baseball game, sometimes you hit a home run, sometimes you strike out, sometimes all that matters is how you played the game. That's an extended metaphor. You're comparing two things and you're continuing. So remember, is a, was a, were is a metaphor. Life is a sinkhole. This is depressing. It was once level and fine, but over years it began to sink, just as my outlook towards life. And just when I thought of the hole could not get any deeper, it did. So again, that's an extended metaphor, and it goes on and on and on. So you have to write one of those poems eventually. Um, and last term for this set of slides, um, implied metaphor. It's a comparison that's hinted at but not clearly stated. Again, it's suggested like the two things are similar, but they're not exactly both. It's not stated that they're both exactly the same. All right, so I'm going to pick up on idiom on the next slide and make sure you're taking great notes.